inside our world, we had a strong level of confidence that we were outworking and outperforming everybody else. So that's a positive thing. What are we going to watch out for? And what did we watch out for? Freaking arrogance all the time. Like letting that task unit bruiser thing become a, hey, we're better than you, is what you have to watch out for. Because if we're better than you, and I think I'm better than you, then that means I don't have to work as hard as you. That means I don't have to train as hard as you. That means we don't need to plan as much as you. That means we can just make things happen because we're a bruiser. No, it's not like that. It's actually the opposite of that. It's we're tasking a bruiser, which means we have to work harder, which means we have to prepare more, which means we have to plan more, which means we have to do extra runs. It's because we're tasking a bruiser that we have to do more. It's not the opposite. So be careful. And you know, we were talking about this, and I've actually used this, I've been talking about this a bunch now, this idea of being in stressful situations and how you prepare for performance and how you got to prepare. You plan, you rehearse, you visualize, you don't worry about things that you can't control. And ultimately at the moment of, just before the moment of execution, you have to get a little bit cocky. You have to get a little bit cocky. And that's the way that I operate. It's the way I've always operated. As humble as I can possibly be until I put my night vision goggles on or until I lock and load my weapon. Then watch out, because I'm a bad motherfucker and I'm coming to get you and you're not going to be able to do anything to me. That's what's happening. Or like jiu-jitsu, like I'm training my ass off. When you look at me like, hey, let's roll, and we clap hands, all of a sudden I'm going to get you. Like that's what's happening. I'm not nervous. I'm not scared. Like, oh, what's going to happen? So having that humility that then you can lean into, all right, it's go time. And now we're confident. And that's what you're doing. You know, we used to do that with fighters. Like you get that fighter, you're getting them ready for a fight. They're getting their ass kicked in the beginning of training camp. You're making sure they're getting their ass kicked. You're making sure you're bringing in fresh people. They're getting their ass kicked. They can't get up. They can't get off the ground. Their striking sucks. They're behind. And then as you get closer and closer, they're doing better and better. By the time you're a week out, they're kicking your ass, whether they can or not, honestly. And I'm not trying, look, I'm out of the business now. I'm not training fighters anymore. But you don't want to kick a guy's ass 3 days before he gets into the cage against a world-class dude, because his confidence not going to be there. So you're gonna let them build that confidence back up. Just like a dog, you know, a working dog, when you have a working dog, an attack dog never loses a fight in training. They never lose a fight. They don't even understand what that means. When that freaking Belgian Malinois comes at you, when it's coming to get you, it has never lost a fight before, ever. It's coming. It knows 100% in its mind it can win. When you come to my house and I have Odin, my German Shepherd that weighs 120 pounds, he's never lost a fight before. He's never had a bite that didn't take someone down and stop them. He doesn't understand. You have a gun, a loud gun. He's been through that where that's not going to stop him. He's heard that loud bang before. It's not going to stop him. So what you have to do is you have to be prepared to die, because these animals, they've never lost. So as you're going through that mental, cultural formation, you want to have them humble. You want to have them work. But then you also want to teach them, hey, look, we win. That's what we do. Clutch time, we win.
You know, and we talk about the dichotomy, right, of balancing confident but not cocky. You got to be confident, but you can't be cocky. And so when you're talking about like never getting arrogant and thinking like, oh, we're the best. I think that what gives you the confidence to go and execute when it's go time on a combat operation, and I've never fought in the UFC or been a professional MMA fighter, but I got to imagine it's a similar deal, is that you have put in the work. Right. You have challenged yourself, you know, and I think what made us good in Tasking a Bruiser was that we would critique ourselves harder than anybody else. And you know, when I was used to the training instructors really picking us apart, you know, going through the workup cycle of like, yeah, you need to fix this, you need to fix this, you screwed that up. They didn't have a lot to say when we were done debriefing ourselves, because, you know, for the most part, because we were just eviscerate ourselves about all the things that we actually needed to work on. And so that enabled us to push the standard. We're always looking to get better in everything that we did. And because That's why we talk about humility is the most important quality of a leader. Constantly scrutinizing ourselves about like, hey, are we actually ready for this worst case scenario? Can we actually get better? Can we improve? And because we pushed ourselves that hard, and because we were humble, and because we put in the extra time and the extra work and the extra preparation, it gave us the confidence to go and execute in a way that I think those are directly related. So, one of the things that really stands out to me is, I mentioned earlier, like the training instructor said, you guys are the best task unit I've seen come through here. And so, when you get assigned to training detachment, this is like a 3-year tour, typically 2 or 3 year tour for most of these guys. So they've seen a bunch of different task units come through. And I remember very distinctly say, don't ever say that again. Don't ever say that again, my guys.
Yeah.
And you didn't take that as like, oh, thank you for saying that. No. I appreciate it. You actually were upset because you knew that that's the kind of thing that would make us cocky, and now we think we're awesome, so we don't have to train hard. We don't actually have to push ourselves hard, which is then going to make sure that we get that's going to set us up for failure when it's time to actually roll out operations for real. And so I think those things, the harder that you're pushing yourself in training, the harder that you're preparing, the more discipline that you have, in those training procedures, it gives you the confidence to go and execute well.
Yeah. Yeah. You can definitely set those things up properly where you can learn to flip that switch. You can learn to become a little bit cocky in just a moment before execution. And it's something that and when I remember telling you about it, because I told you about it at Total Archery Challenge, right? Because here we are at Total Archery Challenge. I'm shooting my brand new bow, which, you got to get used to a new bow, right? You got to get used to it. I got different cams on it. It's a little bit, feels a little bit different. And so you're getting used to the new bow. And this was only like my 3rd time shooting it. And
which is insane.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know anything about Total Archery Challenge, it's freaking awesome. It's an incredible experience, but it is, you're making the first shot out of the pipe for us on day one on the course that we shot was 117 yards. Yeah. So that is a bomb. That's like a 1,000-yard rifle shot.
Yeah. And
you're going out of the pipe and you've only shot this bow just a couple of times.
Now look,
at what, 20 yards?
Yeah. And now look, Dudley, this bow is built by one of the premier guys in the world. So we're getting a high quality item, but still it takes reps. And I've only been doing archery for 5 years. So I'm not like some stud at this stuff, but I had just done this podcast with Echo on the Underground talking about, and someone had asked like, what do you do to get ready for stress? And I talked through this whole thing. You got to prepare. And then I said, and you know what I do at the moment, just before execution, I get a little bit cocky. And what made me think about that was like shooting head plates, back in the day. You're going up, like I would never be the best shot, but I might be like 4th in the platoon, depending on the run. Maybe I'd win 1 thing or 2 things, but I wasn't going to be like, there's always going to be a guy that's just freaking awesome shot, right? But when I was time to walk up, calling it competition. I just almost called it competition, but it is. You're like competing. Like, okay, you and me, Leif. And at that moment, I'd be like, cool, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, Leif sucks. Like and it would just be that enough to be like, it's enough to let go of the pressure and just be like, I got this. So we're at Total Archery Challenge, and I had this in my head the whole time. So every time, and these are freaking stupid shots, 100 yards, freaking 73-yard freaking white rabbit. Like, and you and me both hit that bad boy. But like, I'm walking up to the line, like, watch this, like, step aside. And it really did help. That's the best I've ever shot at TAC, and it's the least prepared I've been. It was the least prepared I've been at TAC, and the best I've ever shot. And it's because I consciously now was telling myself, watch this. Oh, you got this. I'm going to smoke this thing. Leif's going to look like an idiot when I get done with this. Like, what do you got, Dudley? Like, just all this. And you know what? You can see Dudley do that too. You can see Dudley has a little switch that flips where someone will talk shit to him, and all of a sudden he looks like a little bit different. And you're like, oh, he's going to murder this target. I had a guy that I was on a ship with, and I was a radio man. This guy worked in the radio room. And we're talking because I'm building relationships. I'm talking. He's like, yeah, I played AA ball or AAA ball. Which one's higher? He was like just underneath the major leagues in baseball. I forget which one it is, AAA, AA, but he was just underneath the major leagues in baseball. And, you know, in the Navy, I don't know if it's like this in the Marine Corps, but in the Navy, just about every dude could have been, you know, a contender, you know, could have been a professional, could have been, you know, had scholarships, but blah, 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 blah. So I'm figuring he's one of these guys. And he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, I'm going to try again when I get back. I'm going to try and make another run at it. He's like, can you catch for me? And I was like, dude, I suck at baseball, but, you know, I got a buddy. And as a matter of fact, it's the same buddy I was talking about earlier, the visor wearer. And I was like, hey, one of my buddies is a sick athlete, and I'm sure he'd do it. And so he goes, yeah, meet me up. And I hooked them up, and the guy traveled with a catcher's mitt just so he could pitch because he's a pitcher. And so I walk up with my buddy because this guy's going to meet him on the flight deck and pitch to him. And dude, this guy's a kind of a dorky looking radio man, like stuck inside all day, pale white, like, and he comes walking out and he's got like a baseball hat on and the fat dip in, and he looked like a totally different person. And I was like, oh, this dude's a badass. And sure enough, like, I couldn't have caught the pitches that he was throwing. He's just ripping those things at 90 miles an hour. So that little bit of confidence at the moment of execution is a powerful thing, and it lets you get into the mode of, I think it lets you let go of worry, right? Because you're like, oh, what if I blow this shot again? Freaking Leif's going to make fun of me, and Dudley's going to think I'm an idiot, and the freaking photographers here, like, all that stuff could be going through your head. Or you just be like, are you filming? Because you're going to want to catch this. You know what I mean?
Here's a free lesson. Yeah. Shooter McGavin style.
Yeah. So that's a good thing, and it doesn't just work for you. Yeah.
You let me in on that little secret right after you made this ridiculous shot. I think it was like an 84-yard bomb through like 2 trees. And I think I just shellacked one of the trees, and because everyone's like talking smack over my shoulder, because that definitely gets in your head. And you got up there, and there was smack talk coming at you too, and you just slid it right in there, freaking nailed the target. And I was like, that was a freaking money shot. And you said, I gotta let you in a little secret. And as I thought about that, I'm like, that's a really powerful thing, because it really there is something in when you're second guessing yourself at the moment of execution. It does not help you at all.
Terrible.
Second guessing yourself about whether or not you're fully prepared in the weeks and months up to something, sure, that's great. Push yourself hard. Positive. But in that moment of execution, to be able to clear your mind and execute with confidence, I think it's a really powerful tactic to employ.
And for instance, right now, I could be like, yo, I shot so good at tack, I'm freaking good to go. That's the disease of victory, right? That's like, oh, I'm good to go. That's what I will not do that. I'm going to shoot even harder than I ever have, because these are sort of like my months getting ready for September right now. I could easily go, oh, I'm freaking kind of dialed this year. You know what I mean? It'd be so easy to do that. But then what will the results be? The results will be freaking a disaster on game day. So you got it. Once you switch that on, and when you're done, cool. Go back to, just like we go on an operation, we're confident going out there, maybe even just borderline a little bit cocky. We get back. What do we do? What can we do better? What mistakes do we make? How can we improve? So you got to flip that switch. A little bit of confidence, up the confidence a little bit. As soon as you get done, go right back to where you were. Humble. Start working.